Well, in the span of 24 hours, there have been 17 earthquakes near Area 51. It started with a 4.4 magnitude quake just 2.5 miles underground. The area is normally not prone to earthquakes this shallow, and it's leading to theories of nuclear testing or even UFOs, because it all happened after President Trump said this.
Do you have an update on the UFO files and when we're going to be seeing those?
Well, I think we're going to be releasing as much as we can in the near future. They want to find out about the UFOs and anything having to do with UFO or related material, and we're going to be releasing a lot of things that we have, and I think some of it's going to be very interesting.
Joining us now to respond, Dr. Steven Greer, UFO researcher in retired physician. Great to see you, doctor. So are these earthquakes just a version of burning the files at an embassy when people got to get out?
Well, you know, the thing that lights up in my mind is that back in the 1990s, I briefed a man who worked and designed the security apparatus at some of the facilities out there, particularly the ones up near Groom Lake and Pahut Mesa. And he explained that on the top of those complexes underground were like bunker busting type bombs, but underneath them were thermonuclear devices, so that if anybody was getting close to those facilities, and by this, it could even be the legal government of the United States, they could collapse those facilities. Now, I don't know that that's what happened, but I know for a fact those security systems are out there. So that's one consideration. Now, it could just be a cluster of earthquakes, or they could be doing some legitimate underground testing out in that region.
Yeah, there are a lot of mountains out there, so earthquakes are not out of the question. But we just heard President Trump promising disclosure. Mm-hmm. What does disclosure actually mean in your mind?
Well, I founded the disclosure movement 25 years ago at the National Press Club event, where we had 20 top secret military and government people disclose their information. We're going to do another one on May 8th, coming up a week from Friday. And what we have found is that the government, meaning the constitutional government, was pretty much left out of the loop on this beginning in the late 1950s. And this is why when I spoke to President Trump's former national security advisor from his first term, they were never briefed on this. And I found this to be true all across government, both here and abroad. And yet the evidence is overwhelming that we're not alone, that there's a lot being kept secret. But the center of gravity of it is not in the government, it's in the corporations. My uncle spent his whole career with Northrop Grumman, so the large aerospace corporations are holding most of these secrets and run most of those facilities.
Why do you think they're holding the secrets? Is it because they just don't want us to freak out? Like, what's the purpose of keeping it all behind closed doors, whether it's the government or a corporation that's a private company?
Well, I think there are two main reasons. The first is that the technologies of how those operate was figured out in the mid-1950s. What are called electromagnetic-gravitic systems, or anti-gravity. The energy source is from the quantum vacuum or 0 point. We don't have time to go into that. And those being disclosed would eventually replace all oil, gas, coal in the world, and would also give us a completely cleaned environment, but also in poverty globally. And so there's been this debate for decades of when does this come out? When do we acknowledge these? Because there's no way you can acknowledge they're real, and that there's been a reverse engineering program that's gone on for over 70 or 80 years, and then say there's nothing that's come of that. I mean, the most brilliant scientific minds I've ever met work in covert programs related to this technology.
Mm-hmm. So we've been covering this story on the show and on the network. There's been this disappearance or deaths surrounding 12 or more scientists or people who work closely to government secrets, who had highly classified clearances, just walking into the desert, on a hike, disappearing with no trace. Based on what you've seen in the backgrounds of each of these different people on your screen, do you think that they're related in any way?
Well, they could be. Some of them most certainly are. I think Mr. Sullivan and Amy Eskridge, who both were, one was going to come forward as a whistleblower and died, and the other one had technology related to what I just referred to, who was not suicidal, who was made to look like a suicide. Now, whether all of them are related to this, I don't know. General McCaskill from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base may have disappeared himself, because I've been working with a team of people with U.S. law enforcement handing off whistleblowers. We have 760 of them now, which have implicated certain people in criminal activities, child trafficking, human trafficking using advanced UAPs.
Right. Have you heard from have you heard from Mr. McCaskill or
No, I haven't.
Any of the folks who are missing?
No, none of these people. But we did a film that came out, a documentary a couple years ago called The Lost Century. And The Lost Century documents that over the decades, many people have been killed related to this issue, and particularly the technology part of it.
Yeah.
Because, and frankly, I won't say which company, but there's a large government contractor who has a security officer that has been involved in targeted killings of certain people. Yeah.
Well, we will follow up. We will be watching this for sure. You'll be back in the D.C. area for the 25th anniversary of this disclosure project next week, as you mentioned. We look forward to tuning in and learning more. Dr. Steven Greer, thanks for joining us. Great to see you.
Thank you. Hope to see you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.